Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Town. So in the previous episode we set up the foundations for a new nuclear town. We've got the rails in place and a couple of miners down to mine the ore, but there's not much we can do with it at the moment because we have not completed the nuclear power research. In fact, we've only just started it, so it'll take a little bit of time before we can actually get some reactors and things operational, but in the meantime there's a couple of things that we can sort out. So I set off to Frackham. On my way there I stop over in Redport to check on the assemblers. The ratio has changed for copper wires to red circuit assemblers, as I was reminded in the comments of last episode. At some point I'll sort that out, but it's not a major thing at the moment. It's a difference between the 7 that I currently have and the 6 that is correct, so I'll sort it later. At the moment, I want to sort out some stuff in Frackham. We want to make a train that transports liquids. Finally, the fluid wagon has been implemented, and so we can stop having to transport either sulfur or batteries. Whenever we need something based on sulfur, we can just transport sulphuric acid everywhere and not have to worry about messing about with lots of different kinds of materials. And also we'll be able to transport lubricants to other stations, where at the moment I don't think I've even got any being made yet, but yeah, I was going to have to pipe it miles and miles if it wasn't for the fact that finally we can now transport it by train. So at some point I need to just overhaul this system and make it so that it's entirely sulphuric acid being delivered, and there's no more messing about with different stages of production and things. But for the moment, I'll rather sort that out later and get the current fluid wagon up and get it delivering to the nuclear town. So we set up a tank to store the sulphuric acid, and we just connect it up to the system that's already in place. It's a little bit slow, it could be better, I could get the ratios and stuff right, but for the moment it'll do. It'll build up a supply, we'll be able to get it delivered and things. But yeah, I think we are due an overhaul of the train system. I've been saying that for a while, I think. I sort of forgot about it for a while, but I've been meaning for a good long time to just basically completely redo the current timetables, basically. Just get all the trains, shut them down, park them up somewhere, and work out a new system that's a little bit more efficient. Because so far what I'm doing is every time I've got a new thing that needs delivering somewhere, I'm just sending up another train that does that job, or I'm having the materials piggyback on a train that already happens to go between the same 2 stations. And I think every now and then you need to step back and look at the whole thing, work out what needs to go where, and just completely reset up the system so that it's more efficient. Less trains are needed, there's more allocation to materials that need it, so on and so forth. So yeah, that'll be an interesting project to do. And in fact, in the comments, mention if you think I should do it like live or not, basically, because I might just like do most of the work between episodes, like write down what needs to be delivered from what town to what other town, and then work out what the timetables will be, and then the episode just change all the timetables and get it set up quick. Or would you prefer if I actually spent some time in the episode looking at things and working it out? I think out of episode makes more sense personally, because there's going to be a lot of time where I'm just writing things down on paper and messing about with that. But if people want to see me like mark on the map like what the imports and the exports are for each town and stuff like that, I can maybe do that. But anyway, that's something for another episode. For the moment, we've just got this train set up. I've messed up slightly by forgetting to block off the cargo wagon we've got, so we just had a bunch of batteries and sulfur dumped into it, but we get that sorted out again, and that's all fine. So yeah, we've gone for having 1 fluid wagon and 1 cargo wagon. That seems like a good idea, because in future that train can have other purposes, such as delivering uranium ore from other outposts or towns, and delivering of the iron that we will need for the to make basically the casings, the fuel cells. Basically, the fuel cells use uranium and also iron to make like the container part, that sort of thing. So the train is now running. I hop into it again, take it back up to the nuclear town. We've got it set up so that it will it'll set off from Frackham when it has 1,000 units of sulphuric acid, and then it will return to Frackham when it has 0. At the moment, there's also a 30-second time thing, so it will keep cycling anyway. I might switch that off, because it's not like this train will be blocking anything else while it's sat in this particular station, and it's not like it'll take forever for it to be loaded at the other end of the station. So I might just make it so that it is it just doesn't have a time limit. It just sits there till the work is done, because it'll mean that it doesn't bother the other trains so much. It's just sat in a station that's empty most of the time. So we've got the sulphuric acid delivered in, and the miners are now running. Now, what I meant to do at this point was set up some storage of the ore, but I sort of forget about it. I think I get distracted by something, and so I don't actually end up getting that in place, because the reason we wanted it being mined now before the nuclear power research was done, so we could get it stored up, ready to process it more rapidly at the other end. Because you need to process a lot of ore to be able to get the nuclear system properly working. It will take a while anyway, because there's more research that we'll need to do to get the Covarex enrichment process operational, and we'll require more kinds of science packs and therefore more towns for that. But it's good to be ready for these things and think about them and so on. I want to get the Covarex enrichment working as soon as I can, because it's just so useful, and we'll be able to manufacture huge amounts of the rarer uranium isotope, which we can then use to make nukes. And then we can start nuking biter bases, and that will be so satisfying, because I'm fed up of them, and I can destroy them instantly, rather than taking like a solid minute per each one. Which will be wonderful, and will just make everything so much easier. And we'll have to go deal with them soon. They have been advancing, they've been creeping in last episode while I was working on other things, so we'll have to go out there and push them back once again. So hop over to Newton, where I've noticed a little bit of a problem with the blue science. It's running very, very slowly. We want it to be running quicker so that we can get the nuclear power research done. And the reason is that we've got the ratios wrong, basically, for producing steel and iron. We've got loads of steel being made and very little iron. And so I mess about with the ratios, turn a bunch of steel furnaces into iron ones, because of course the way that blue science works has been changed, so now the different materials required have changed, and I didn't actually do anything to the furnaces. Unfortunately, I can't fix it by building more, because I don't have any stone bricks on me. At the moment, we're completely out of those, having used them to build as many walls as we possibly can, and still not having enough walls to finish everything. Like Redport has got a big gap in it, because we've run out of walls before we finish that, so we'll have to go sort that out. But we get more iron being made, so that we have more mining drills being produced, and that has balanced things out a little bit more, so we don't have just a bunch of steel sat around not doing anything. Though I think I ended up overbalancing it, so I end up switching two of the furnaces back again. What I could actually do is make it so that the iron being produced by the ones that feed the steel can also go onto the belt. Really, I should have done that to be more efficient in how I set it up, but whatever, it's fine. It's not a major issue. We are now producing blue science significantly faster than before, so we'll get the nuclear power research done significantly sooner. Also, while I'm here, I fix up the defences. We've had a couple of attacks on here recently because of the advancing biters, so we put in some more furnaces, more turrets, and add some, we'll resupply the ammo to those. And then we need to go out and deal with them. There's also some work needs doing in Forgedale, just an attack on the west wall as well, which is happening very rarely so far. It's only happening when there's colonization efforts, basically, because the pollution does not reach as far as that wall, so any biter's activity is them trying to set up a new base. So that was them just trying to build a new outpost there, and by having the wall in place, we've saved the time we would have had to spend clearing away that base otherwise. So we go over to Forgedale to add in some more turrets there. It's been getting attacked quite a lot recently, and quite a lot of ammo is being used up, so we'll make the coverage quite dense. And we'll also just make sure that all of the turrets have a full 25 ammo in. I say full, I mean, it's 25 is just how much I like to have in a turret. It's long enough that it lasts a good long while, but it's small enough that I will get worried and actually come back and check on the turrets rather than letting them be destroyed while not paying attention. If there's 50 ammo in there, I'm like, oh, that's enough forever. I never need to go back there. 50 ammo, it's never going to run out. And then the turret explodes, and all hell breaks loose. So, after this, I go and deal with some biter bases around the east. So while this is going on, let us go through the list of suggested names, one of those, for the nuclear town. There's a lot. I think this might be the longest list ever. I don't think I've ever reached 200 names before. Maybe on, like, the second town ever named or something I got that much, but I don't think so. There's 184 names. It's a lot. It's a big list. So let's get to it as quickly as we possibly can. So, Angston Arco, Area 235, Ash Valley, Atomicton, Atomus, Battersea, Bluepool, Boomtown, Bradburton, Broken Hills, Chernobridge, Chernobyl, Chernoville, Crater, Credbell, Extant, Magna, Cricketshire, Curie, Curie Hall, Curieburg, Curium, Curiewaith, Curieton, Curieville, Curium, Decamere, Decaytown, Decayville, Distant Glow on the Horizon, District 235, Furby's Court, Furbyton, Furbytown, Thistleton, Fish and Chips, Fiswich, Fukushima, Gamblewood, Geigerton, Geigerum, Geigerton, Glowdale, Glowton, Glowtown, Gloverton, Greenlight Village, Greengold, Greenville, Greyskull? Who suggested Greyskull? What? Hadron, Hanford, Hampshire, Hanton, Harrisburg, Harwell, Heisenberg, Hixton, Hinkley, Homer, Hoppenheim, Hookerton, Infnew, INFNEU. Maybe that's something. But that does remind me something I should mention. Also, this is a good time for a break because we finished with the biter killing for the moment. I've hopped over to Chipton to grab a whole bunch of circuits. We've not resupplied in a while, so we need quite a lot more. We're not even halfway through the list, by the way. Not even close, about a third. Yeah, so I've been reminded that... oh, by the way, like, most of the comments last episode were name suggestions, but pretty much all the other comments were put chain signals on that junction before my brain explodes. So fine, I've done it. Admittedly, I should have done it sooner. I was going to spend some time... basically, I forgot. I was going to do it, and I was going to work out if I should put any anywhere else, like, beyond just the junction, and I was going to put some thought in. But I've put it on the junction. I think that is enough to fix it. I mean, there's still the potential for gridlocks, but I think it would take a lot more trains for them to come into existence now. We'll look at it more later. But now the chain signals are in, there'll be less issues, and that's all good. I've hopped over to Juleborough to clear out the old copper mining stuff. There's no more copper here, so might as well just remove all the mining equipment and the loading stuff for the train. Not needed anymore. I check up on the train and see if the schedule needs changing. At a glance, I don't notice anything in particular. We'll overhaul all the trains soon anyway, so it doesn't matter. Also, I reset up the assemblers that allow level 3 productivity modules to be produced. Previously, I limited what level 3 modules could be made by putting in only as many alien artifacts as I needed modules. So I set it up, and then I wanted 5 level 3 speed modules and 5 level 3 efficiency modules, so I put 5 alien artifacts into each of those assemblers to set them off, and otherwise they wouldn't run, and we could build up a supply of level 2s, which in the case of efficiency modules are quite useful, and level 3s are usually quite a waste. But now that alien artifacts no longer exist, the recipe has been changed such that they've just set off automatically, which is fine. They can get on with that. We'll build up a nice supply of level 3s, and then once that's filled to 50 of each, we'll get level 2s and level 1s, and just have a nice big supply of those. We've got plenty of circuits to go around as things go. We've boosted the production rate of Chipton, so everything should be fine there. So we've hopped over to West Point to grab some stone bricks. Unfortunately, there's not many there. We sort of run out already, so I've dumped a bunch of raw stone into the chest there so it can be turned into bricks, and we can come back later, grab a bunch more of them. For now, I think we have enough to make the nameplate for the nuclear town. Not quite sure. We'll see about that. Also grab some ammo, but what I need to do now is make my way up to Fortin to change the assemblers there, because the recipe for the armor-piercing ammo has changed. You now require the regular ammo to make the armor-piercing, whereas you didn't before. So I've got to set that up, get that running, so that we once again have an ammo supply from Fortin. In the meantime, there's a bunch of Baito bases to deal with in between here and there, so I'll get on with killing those. And while it's going on, let us attempt to finish the list of names. So we got up to I. Isotopia, Isaville, Jakimov, Jeffrey City, Killerton, Klaproth, Klaprotham, Coburg, Coverest, Krypton, Lambda Town, Lambdestead, Lepton, Little Radiation, Livermore, Londonderry, Los Alamos, Magnox upon Windscale, Manhattan, MacArthur, Megaton, Melton, Montebello, Much Glowing on the Sand, Mullersburg, Mewtown, Myradium, Natura or Natura, something like that. Neutron, New Chernobyl, Nicton, Nuketown, Nuclear Springs, Nucleus, Nuclearton, Nuketon, Nuke City, Nuke York, Newcastle, Nuke Chapel, Nuke Church, Nukeland, Nukeminster, Nukeport, Nuketon, Nuketown, Nukeville, Nukton. Nukton? Is that a misspelling? I actually forgot. I was going to say. Think about the misspelling. So sometimes I will notice that people will spell something wrong when they're suggesting a name in the comments. Sometimes it's easier to tell what the misspelling is, but sometimes it's not, and I don't know whether it's a misspelling or they actually mean that particular spelling of the town. Please make sure to spell check your name suggestions, because however they're spelled, I'm going to say them that way, but if they're spelled wrong, they've got no chance of being the actual name because they won't make sense. Where were we? We got up to Nukton. Oak Ridge, Oppenberg, Orkney, Pluton, Plutoniford, Plutopia, Power on the Rads, Pripyat, Proton, Purex, Radby, Radford, Radicoils, Radio Coils even, Radiosity, Radium, Radmond, Radon, Radsmouth, Radstap, Radtopia, Radville, Radwich, Ranger, Rayburg, Remham, Remington, Rutherford, Rutherfordton, Ruthersfjord, Sanctuary, Seaborg, Seascale, Sellafield, Sieverting, Sieverton, Sievertshire, Site A, Sox is in SOX, that's a reference there to Rolfrit Shadowrun. Splitton, Springfield, Sulphur, the Geiger Grid, the Nuclear Town, the Radlands, the Zone, Thoradia, Thorium Flats, Thornton, Tibertown, Totally Won't Explode Central, Townsend, Transmutin, Trident, Trinity, Twinleaf, Uford, Unstableton, Uppenatom, Uranberg, Urania, Uraniaburg, Uranium City, Uranus, Europhoria, Van Allen, Volt 015, Vavalonburg, Walton, Weston, White Sands, Windscale, Woodstock, Yellowcake Basin, and Yucca. 184 names, and it took quite a long time to work through them. Anyway, back to what's happening on screen. We finally finished that, so I make my way back down to West Point to grab some more stone brick. I tried to race the train from Fortin on my way down, but I realized it takes a completely different route to what I was taking, so I ended up arriving ages before it. But we dump a bunch more raw stone into the system, grab what stone brick is there, and that should definitely be enough for the nameplate, and a couple of walls, I guess, and we'll continue letting this thing run. I could add in another furnace, I probably should, but I don't bother at this particular time. Also, I set up a radar, and we now have radar coverage, I believe, of every town in the county fully, so that we can actually see what's going on in all of them at all times, apart from in the nuclear town, because we've not got the bounds of it set up yet, so I don't know where to put the radar. But yeah, we grab a little bit more stone, and we will set off on our way. Before we get back to work, I hop over to one of the stone mining areas, so we can just grab a bunch more raw stone ready for next time we want to dump it into the chests in West Point. In fact, probably just next time we arrive in West Point, we'll just dump it all in again and try and get the things built up. It takes a whole lot of raw stone to make stone walls, because you need 2 stone to make a stone brick, and then 5 stone bricks to make a wall. So that's... It builds up quite quickly how much you need, which is a bit of a problem. At some point, I will use the commands to just generate a stone deposit somewhere and then set up a town in it. I just haven't got round to it yet. There's just so much other stuff to do still. But yeah, at some point I'll build that, and then suddenly we'll have stone forever, and I will just go around paving the entire county. It's going to be insane. In fact, I'll probably wait until I've got logistics set up, so that I can just use logistics to place all the templates and stuff a lot more easily on everything. We are driving by Southbridge when I spot there's a little bit of damage to the turrets, nothing major, but the turrets on the west, on the east even, are a little bit sparse, so I decide to run through and replace those. Good time to mention, someone in the comments of last episode was a little bit confused as to what I'm doing with the turrets here, why I keep building some and then removing them again. Basically, I think a good spacing to have between turrets is 6 tiles, and I like to have them evenly spaced because it just looks nicer, and it makes like systems where you supply the turrets with a belt and placing power poles and stuff like that a little bit easier when they're evenly spaced. So I place them with a gap of 6 between each one, but it's a little bit difficult to eyeball that. So what I do is I place them with a gap of 2 between each one, and then I remove every other one. Unless it's a particularly in danger area, in which case I will I'll build them with a gap of 2. I just leave it at that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, and that's why I keep building them and then removing half of them again. It's just to get the spacing nice. Anyway, we've arrived back up in the nuclear town. It is time to reveal the name that we have chosen from the 184 that were suggested. By the way, this episode would have been out a day earlier if it wasn't for how long that list was. I was not expecting it. It took quite a while to just write them all down before I could even start picking between all of them. And so the name that we have chosen, as we slowly work through the letters and work out how to construct the M properly, yeah, the fonts has sort of changed because of how concrete works has been slightly tweaked with 0.15. I think it actually looks nicer. I was a little bit worried it'd mess things up. It makes T's look a little bit weird, as you can see, but mostly it's pretty good. Also, Redport's being destroyed. We'll fix it in a second. But the name that we have chosen for the nuclear town is Radsmouth, which is using a suffix we have not had before. I'm trying to like sort of collect all the suffixes if I can. So far, the only suffix I've used more than once is ton, because I think it's the most commonly used one generally in the UK. And for that, we've got Chipton, Fortin, and what else do we have? Newton. Yeah, mouth, spelled mouth, is one we have not used before. Usually used to refer to like the mouth of a river as it goes into the sea. In this case, not exactly true, but we're next to a large body of water, so it's fine. We've got a port next to it. It makes sense to a certain degree. So there we go, Radsmouth. It was suggested by it's a long username, Crowalnose Nosington, I think is the guy's name. He had a decent chance of getting his name chosen, really, because he in fact suggested 12 different names. But they were all pretty good ones. He did a good job of sort of suggesting names that people had already sort of skipped past and assumed that other people had suggested, I think. Also, I don't think I forgot to mention with this episode, but that station there that I just renamed to Radsmouth West, that was called Zisto. Very small odds of that appearing, same odds as my name appearing. But yeah, he's a big Factorio YouTuber, so that's pretty cool to see. I wonder if he's ever had my name appear as a station for him. I know a couple of YouTubers have. I've never had my name appear myself, but I think that's the first big name that I've seen there. But anyway, we're out of time for today, so with that, I should say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.